Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in right here, Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. You have made it to another Friday. That means we are another day closer, Adam, to football starting. We've got Thursday night football next week. We've got huge drafts this weekend. We've got a lot of news to break down. How you doing this morning, by the way? You okay? You know how many messages I got about you? Like, how's Adam? I'm like, listen, I know you well enough where I just didn't even text you. I said, we're gonna hash it out on the show. I don't want to bother him. He's going through a lot. How you doing? You
Pretty
okay?
good considering. I guess I'm
Okay.
used to the mediocrity or the
Disappointment.
yeah, it's been that way as a Cowboys fan for a long time. So I was surprised though. I didn't think it would come to that where they would trade Micah Parsons. That rumor to Green Bay did surface a few days ago,
Just
and
we talked about it yesterday.
I was
What
like,
is that?
nah,
Nah.
they always sign their top guys, and they did it. So we've seen the stats with Micah Parsons on the field, EPA
Mm-hmm.
per play. They're number one. Without him, they're 31st. So, hey, look, you try to take the positives out of everything in life, right? So that means it is great for the Cowboys offense because that defense is going to leak points. It's going to put them in a position to pass a lot. So, hey, I'm just glad that I have a lot of Dak Prescott early.
Mm-hmm.
People who are using my rankings, they better have a lot of Dak Prescott early because I'm pretty sure I had him ranked higher than most people. Obviously, I mean, CD Lamb was my number two wide receiver. I was very high on George Pickens, who I did get in the NFFC
Oh,
on
nice.
Wednesday at 4-9. Didn't get him last night because someone using my rankings was picking in front of me and took him. But hey, what are you going to do? But yeah, this is really good for the Cowboys offense if you're looking at it from that perspective.
Wow.
And yeah, the defense is going to be pretty bad.
I'm surprised. I thought you were just going to be so upset. Or
What am
not
I going to do at
upset,
this
but
point?
I
I
know,
mean,
I
it's
know.
just,
I'm sorry.
and then the press conference was
Oh,
hilarious.
even worse. I
Yeah.
mean, so if people, I mean, everyone knows by now because this is one of the biggest trades that we've seen in the NFL. You don't get trades like this often. And so yesterday afternoon, I should say, the Dallas Cowboys did trade four-time Pro Bowler, I'll say it again, four-time Pro Bowler, Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. So it was in exchange for so the Dallas Cowboys got two first-round picks and Kenny Clark. Those were kind of the big parts of the deal. And then Micah Parsons immediately agreed to a 4-year, $188 million contract with the Packers, includes 120 million fully guaranteed at signing, 136 million in total guarantees, and he is now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. I didn't think it would come to that. I really didn't. I thought that the rumors, there's always rumors going around with your Cowboys and Jerry Jones. It's one of those things where you just say, okay, they're probably going to wait till what, next Wednesday, maybe even Thursday morning before the game because you guys play a football game. They play a football game on Thursday, going up against the Eagles. So I was surprised. Of course, the press conference, like you said, was he tried to run it back to the Herschel Walker trade, tried to make comparisons. I don't think it's the same, but hey, that's just my opinion.
And stopping the run, which they never addressed in the draft. If it was such a big need,
But
why
now
did
you
you?
have
Yeah.
now you have Kenny Clark. He makes your team better.
And it's a week before the season, too. You wonder how that's going to impact the players. I know they're professionals. They got to go out there, but it's just bad vibes. So,
CeeDee
look,
Lamb has been very vocal about that. I mean, vocal as in like tweeting about it. I mean, he tweeted months ago to pay Parsons.
yeah, look, you just hope that the rest of the guys show up, at least offensively, for fantasy purposes. That's what we need.
Yeah, we have to have something out of this, right? We have to have good vibes. Hey, you said it. I took we both had drafts last night. I was the what did I play in the
FFWC.
FFWC, and it was I know people are listening that were in that last night. It was difficult, Adam. All the people that I wanted are gone. It was kind of I told someone afterwards. I said this is the what I had left team because all of my players that I wanted were gone, but did end up getting CD and Dak, and just thought of you in that moment. It's like I have to
Yeah,
do this.
it's look, I like the format. It's two running backs, three receivers, two flex spots. So you have 11 starters, nine bench players. So I like that aspect of it. I like the deeper lineups. That's what I do for the GST league that we're in together. But yeah, it's a challenge. People know what they're doing. Receivers get pushed up. You don't get a lot of value Again, I was looking back at I did two in early August. One of them I absolutely love. I got so
Oh,
much
nice.
value. You just can't get it. It's much more difficult now because everyone is aware, the rosters are set. It's still fun, but you just don't get the value that you were getting weeks ago. Obviously, roles have changed, but uh I mean, you got a couple nice values like that I like here.
Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you though, this is a team it's the what I had left team because this is not my usual. Like these are not usually players I draft, which kind of make it fun. Because everyone listening that did that draft last night took all my favorite players, and so it's okay. I like obviously receivers. I walked away with CeeDee Lamb, T Higgins, Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle. Then I said let me anchor it with Josh Jacobs, who
Can I
I'm not
ask you a
thrilled about.
question?
Go ahead. No,
So
I was flustered.
Jalen Waddle at 5'4", you took him over Emeka
Yes,
Egbuka and George
yes,
Pickens. Did
yes.
you pass on Pickens because you had Lamb?
Yes, I did.
Really?
I don't
You don't
like
like
doing
doing
that.
that?
No, I really
But
don't.
again, this is an overall tournament. So
I
say you
know, but
got Pickens, then you
I
could have gotten Dak
still
and you get the
no,
stack.
I know. Listen, Adam, it was a panic pick. I said, wow,
Yeah?
I've got a lot of Egbuka, which I knew I probably should have just taken him. Realistically, I thought that maybe he would come back, but I should have known that he
No
wouldn't.
way.
And then
Yeah.
Pickens, I personally, I just don't like to do it. I usually, if I've got one elite receiver from a team, I don't usually like to piggyback with the second.
See,
It's just not what I like.
I
There's
understand that.
another player that I do that with too, where I'm just like, ah, I don't want it. Sorry, go ahead.
I think certain offenses I'm okay doing it. I would say that Cincy is one of them. I would say
Mhm.
Dallas with Pickens and Lamb. Puka and
I was gonna
Adams.
say,
I
is
don't
that it?
know. I guess the Stafford risk hurts that one.
Jefferson and Addison, would you do it with them?
Uh, Maybe a little less now
I
with
feel like there's only two. Or I guess we could throw in Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams.
yeah, if you believe in that offense. And then I guess the rest of them are like lesser receivers. Like if you're looking at Nico Collins, all those guys go double digit rounds, so you're
Mhm.
not risking much. Uh, Neighbors has no one unless, I mean, Wandell Robinson I've seen move up draft boards, but okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I think with
I
certain
just don't
offense,
yeah,
I
I
guess
just don't
Evans and
usually.
Igbuka I'm cool with.
Oh, yeah. Where
Yeah,
did Evans go in this draft? Yeah,
212.
it was an interesting one. I'll say that. Definitely panic picks along the way because I was
Oh,
just
so another question.
uncomfortable. Yeah. No, I didn't like it.
Rasheed Rice went 6'8", one pick before you. If he would have came back to you,
I would have
you would
taken
have?
him because of
Okay.
those receivers, because I would have already had four.
Yeah.
And I think I
Even
would
with
have
the
still
extra
gotten,
flex, you
and
could.
I still, exactly, I would have just said, I'll put Rashid Shaheed or Keon Coleman in the flex until he's ready to go. But I
Yeah.
did like that pick. I thought at 6'8", that was a good pick.
Tucker Craft tied in 13, round 12. You must have been thrilled with
I was
that.
thrilled.
Kyle
I was
Pitts went one
nervous.
pick before you.
I know. I was nervous. There were some people just really liked different. I mean, the tight ends were interesting. They were pushed down pretty far. But I was excited to get Kraft. And like I said, I waited on quarterback, got the stack with CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott. I almost wanted to wait one more round, but I'm really glad I didn't do that because it would not have worked out in my favor. You had Purdy go, Drake May, Justin Fields. And then I came back around with Tua Tagovailoa in the 16th round. Overall, not
Yeah.
my favorite. You
No.
had a draft recently that you did that said you said it wasn't your favorite.
Oh,
This
yeah. My
is mine.
NFFC
This
one
might
from
be mine.
Wednesday. Yeah.
Oh, those drafters were so sharp last night, and I know they were listeners, so I know they're probably listening right now. So hats off to you guys. We were talking in the chat last night. It was so fun though. It was fun to do, but I think I've decided first half of the draft, picks 1 through 4, don't love it. Even 1 through 5, maybe even. The back half of the draft is where I really like to get my guys. And I did not like some of the receivers that were available to me, but I just said, okay, at this point, I guess I'll get Jacobs. I guess, T. Higgins isn't bad, but I was like, all right, I'll get him there. It just
I don't think
wasn't my
this is as
favorite.
bad as you're making it out.
No, I know.
It's not. I guess I don't have. Well, I don't have Josh Jacobs, but at 3-4, that's fine. You started your
Yeah.
two receivers. Adams at 4-9. I wouldn't have taken. I like Waddle, but I wouldn't have taken
I
him
know.
over
I needed a
Egbuka
Buka,
Pickens.
Pickens. I don't know what I was doing, but I don't hate it. It's just a different draft. Like this is probably one of my most different teams compared to all the other ones that I've done, which is fine. We have sharp listeners. And they know
That is
that.
true.
They
Yeah.
know
I
that.
mean, they're just taking all our info and using it against us. I like you got Jalen Coker in round 14. That's
Yeah.
nice.
I like Coker. I like Rashid Shaheed, Keon Coleman over there. And like you said, Tucker Craft. I came back around with Chiggy.
Also, yeah, we haven't. I don't know if we've talked about Okonkwo. He's moved up my rankings. I
Oh,
mean,
really?
he's.
How far?
Oh yeah,
I
he's a.
love Chiggy.
I like him as a tight end
Mm-hmm.
too. I really
Mm-hmm.
do. So in the 17th round, that's a really good pick. You know, he's going to be involved in this offense. He was playing almost every snap with the first team in the preseason. We know the talent's been there. We've seen it before, and they really don't have another receiver outside of Calvin Ridley that commands targets. So that's a good pick.
He's one of those sleeper tight ends too, where again,
Yeah.
you can wait. We've talked about, where we kind of go. If we don't get the big three, and it depends on if you're drafting, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce a little bit different. But if you're waiting like I did in this draft, again, walked away with Tucker Craft, who I love. You guys know that. And I walked away with him in the what was that, 12th round there. But Chiggy is definitely Chigga Conquo for the Tennessee Titans is one of those sleepers that you're right. I don't think we've talked much about him, but like you said, we can right now because he is one that I've waited for in a couple of drafts and just said, you know what, I don't want like a Darren Waller, I don't want a Jawan Johnson, I don't want to go that deep into it, and so I agree with you. I like Chigga Conquo as a sleeper tight end. You want to pair him with someone. Obviously, he's probably going to be your second tight end, obviously, in those drafts. But yeah, he has some potential this year.
Yeah,
I like
I
it.
agree.
I like it.
I mine him as in leagues that I take a second tight end, which is not always. I did not in my home league. We do have 24 rounds. We do start six
Oof.
IDP players, but
Oh, okay.
I took George Kittle, so I was like, I'm not going to take a backup tight end at
No,
this
at that
point.
point, I don't think. Where
Yeah.
do you draw the line? Is it Andrews? But Andrews, we've seen he was banged up last year. Travis Kelce, we know, has been on the decline. So is it really only the top three guys, and then you say doesn't hurt to get a second tight end when you're drafting this weekend?
Yeah, look, if you only have 5, 6 bench spots, I'm probably gonna pass, and that can be risky if you take a tight end from that 9 to 12 range. But it's difficult to have that second tight end on the bench, and you
Yeah.
definitely can't have a second tight end and a backup quarterback if you have a short bench. So, and people do it all the time, and I go, cool, because I know you guys are going to drop that second quarterback.
You're
It
eyeballing him.
happens
Yeah.
all the time because
Mhm.
they realize, oh no, I don't have room on my bench. I have 2 running backs this week that are on the injury report. I got to go and get someone off the waiver wire. Who am I going to cut? Well, my quarterback doesn't have a bye until week 10. I guess I'm going to have to cut my backup quarterback. It happens all the time.
Yep, it absolutely does. So, yeah, it was fun. It was fun. If anyone's listening right now that was drafting with me last night, thank you so much. It was so much fun. Hated every second of it in a good way. I was just getting sniped left and right at him, and it was a good time. And yours
Was there
sounded.
anything that stood out to any like crazy pick or something that
Mm, I don't think a great. I mean, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt went in the seventh, but I don't
seventh?
think at
Okay.
this point. At this point, I don't think that that's crazy.
Yeah, we're used to
Um,
it.
And I think, in this format, people are going to go get their guys. So there were some, backup running backs that went ahead of guys that I would have taken ahead of them, if that makes sense. And so, other than that, though, like I wanted Jordan Mason, he didn't come back around to me. So I said, all right, I'll get Aaron Jones there. But yeah, I think overall, people were getting their guys. And I think that's, if you're drafting this weekend, but especially in a format like that, you use ADP as a guide, and we've said that before. But if you want to make sure you get your guys, you have to obviously do it around, maybe around early. Don't go crazy, but we just say that all the time. Use ADP as a guide, and go get who you like. I don't think there was anything
David
crazy.
Montgomery went early. What is
Yeah, he
this?
did.
5-1?
Yep.
Wow. That is
That was
surprising.
probably Walker, Pacheco, Connor. Yeah, all the when you're in a format like this, all those receivers, I mean, go so early.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was
Montgomery.
2 teams that started 3 receivers. Actually, that's low. Usually you see more teams start 3 straight receivers in this format.
I wanted or I wanted Tet
Boy,
and
I see a team here, their roster construction, I absolutely despise it.
uh-oh. Well,
Team 8. Oh, 2 running backs and a tight end to start the draft. And you have 3 running
yeah,
backs,
it's
a
not
tight end
good.
in the first 5 rounds in a league you start 3 receivers.
It's
Oh my
tough.
goodness.
It's tough. I know. There's
Nah,
just
that is bad roster construction.
There is
I watch him
so
win the league.
much. I know. And I'm gonna send you a screenshot and say, great, thanks, Adam. Thanks so much. I think when we talk about optimal fantasy draft strategies this season, Adam, for people, I mean, there's a ton of drafts this weekend and going into Monday. We will be here on Monday. So if you guys want to hang out with us, make
Oh,
sure
you are. I'm not.
what? Where are
Yeah,
you?
I'm out.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm just kidding. I
No,
just put a
stop.
little
What do you
panic in you.
do? What are you doing? I said, don't do that because obviously I believe everything that you say. Stop. I think I'm willing, we've talked about zero RB in the past. This is not the year that I'm doing that. There's too many values at wide receiver, and some of the best ADP values, in my opinion, are at wide receiver. So at some point, you have to look around and say, I'm good with a hero RB build. I'm good, like at some point, a superhero RB build where you just say, I'm going to get 2 elite running backs before the 4th round because there really are good wide receivers this year that go a bit later. And so, again, depends on the format. You know how your league mates draft, but that's just when we talk about strategies for 2025, that I think that's been the biggest takeaway for me this year.
Yeah, and in this draft, everyone had a running back by round 4. So you didn't see anyone go 4 or 5 straight wide receivers, which I have seen done, but not as often. It is, I think, important to get at least one running back early this year. It's what I've tried to do. I do have a lot of drafts where I've waited on that RB2, but yeah, I would like to get a running back in the first 2 rounds, if not in the 3rd round. But I don't think you want to go 4 or 5 rounds without a running back this year.
Yeah. Hey, Achan fell in this draft too. He went at the
Uh,
3-4 turn.
wow. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
3 4. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whoa, you passed him up? Come
Yes.
on.
No. No.
Live a little. What are you
No, I
doing?
have a lot of him. I
Oh,
have a lot
okay.
of him already
Okay.
because remember when I was in the back, usually I get him at 10, 11, 12, right? And
Right.
I say, okay, I'm going to take him here. So once it came to Jacobs, I just said, I'm going to take him instead. But I thought he was going to go pretty quickly after, and he didn't. You had
Wow,
Jonathan Taylor,
that's a
Travion
really
Henderson.
good start for Team 12. Nico
Hmm.
Collins, Brian Thomas, Achan at 312, and then
And then
Hampton
Hampton.
4-1.
Adunze if he steps up. Obviously, we've talked about Josh Downs. Khalil Shakir, I haven't seen an update on his injury, but obviously he's going to be out there this season. I mean, I know that we talk about being careful with injuries to start the year, but we know that I mean, they've said that he's going to be back out there. And then Mark Andrews took Cam Scattaboo from me.
Well, I'm upset with you about
Stop.
something.
I'm trying.
No,
Everyone likes him.
you talk about Travis Kelsey and how he's going to have this great year, how the
Who?
engagement. You,
Kelsey?
yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and then you pass on him at
No,
eight
I don't
nine.
want you wanted me to take Kelsey at 8-9.
I'm saying,
No.
aren't you like back on now? You think like this
No.
engagement's going to boost him? No, you're
No,
off
look because
Kelsey still.
look at this. I have Tucker Craft, the amazing Tucker
Well,
Craft
yeah.
in
I
the
mean, you
12th
didn't know
round.
that at the time, but I'm just saying.
Mm-mm.
So you have no
I
Kelsey
wanted
this year.
Rashid Shaheed. I was gonna take Shaheed where I took Coleman, and he was still there.
Okay.
So I said, you know what? I
Yeah,
want to
that
get
was
both of
smart
these
though
guys.
because you realize that you can take Coleman first. He usually goes
Mhm.
ahead of Shaheed.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, listen, I'm going to take Coleman because if there is, I mean, we've talked about some potential breakouts this season. I mean, we've talked about, potentially Josh Downs, Roma Dunze from that team at 12. Keon Coleman's been one that we've mentioned too. Rashid Shaheed, if things go right, I mean, he's been one that I've actually later in drafts now, especially over the last 2 weeks, have just been scooping up shares of. Yeah. No, I wasn't going to take Kelsey there. I just said
Okay.
congrats on the engagement. I said realistically, if this team does, though, if we see Patrick Mahomes, right? He hasn't been a top 10 quarterback in fantasy football in 2 years, but if we see them start to get more explosive, you have Rice out for the first 6 games, like they're going to need him. Could you not see him start off this season really hot without
Oh,
Rashi Rice there?
yeah. I think there's a chance that we see the best Mahomes fantasy season in like 3
Ooh.
years. Already had that big season.
Hmm.
They talked about working on the deep ball, and yeah, I mean Rice being out definitely hurts them a little bit, but still think they can be good. So
Oh, you want to know a pick I didn't like? I don't usually do this, but Tesla in the 10th.
again,
Don't I just it's
I
too
under
early.
I don't understand why he's moving up so much because it's one thing if you want to take him later on. I'm cool with that, right? I know he's had a good preseason, but where are the targets coming from? Just explain that to me. That's all I want to
No,
know.
I'm with you. And it's one of those things where you had You had Tesla in the 10th, and it was, you had other, in my opinion, you had other receivers. Like I'd rather Tillman, I'd rather Higgins, I'd rather Luther Burden, Mims.
Marvin Mims went in the
Yeah,
next round.
Mims.
Hollywood
It's
Brown.
you
That
know,
just
I just be careful with the hype. We always talk about the hype and leaning too far into it. We love rookies,
Oh, I
but
know.
when
Okay, you know what's worse? Again, roster
mm,
construction. This was the team that was passing on receivers. That's their fourth wide receiver.
mhm,
I, uh,
I know.
that roster construction is just brutal.
I know, but that's why we always look, right? We always look. Sometimes, sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't, but always look at just the starting lineup, what your league settings are. That's the most important part because some people could have like maybe come in and thought it was different. But it's always important to look. We'll talk about your draft here in a little bit. We didn't talk, we'll talk some
We
news
don't
here
have
as
to talk
well.
my draft.
What?
It's a
No,
home league.
oh, oh, then
Yeah.
never mind. Yeah, no, we don't. How was it though? Good.
I mean, I like my team.
Well, that's good. You draft on ESPN?
No.
Ah, Adam, come on. What are we doing? All
I
right.
might have to move it there next year.
Hey, I want to say too, we always say this, Adam, we've got the best listeners, but we're going to do something for you today to just kind of prove how much, you guys mean to us. We appreciate you hanging out with us all off season, going into the season as well. We're days away, but we have got a new code for you. We've got a code only for SXM listeners. It's SXM30. And you guessed it, that gets you 30% off any tier of Fantasy Life Plus. So that's $27.99 for the year for tier 1. Or if you want tier 2, you're looking at $69.99 or $583 per month if you break it down, Adam. Look at that math. You see that quick math? Just kidding. I wrote that down earlier. But you can use that code SXM30 today only. The code expires 2 hours after the show. So if you want to give it to your dad, to your friends, or maybe you don't because they're drafting with you, keep it to yourself. SXM30 gets you 30% off any tier of Fantasy Life Plus over at fantasylife.com. Today only 2 hours until 2 hours after the show. But you guys are the best, and we definitely want to do that for you here today. Let's continue on, Adam. We've got bold calls. I want to see if you're co-signing any of these bold calls for 2025. We're going to do that next. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you right here on Friday. Vibes are surprisingly somewhat immaculate, Adam. Love that we can use that drop last year and we can just reuse the Cowboys drop going into this year. Stays pretty similar.
It applies. It applies for sure.
Every year for the rest of your life, maybe.
It feels that way. It definitely feels that way.
Appreciate everyone hanging out with us here today. Again, we've got the best listeners. We want to make sure you guys are ready for those fantasy drafts. That means we're going to give you an extra 30% off at fantasylife.com. So make sure you go use that code SXM30. Gets you 30% off any tier of Fantasy Life Plus. So $27.99 or $69.99. The code expires 2 hours after the show. So make sure you get that done here today. We're going through bold calls and bold predictions. I want to know if you're co-signing some of them. Some of the ones that I found, we wrote them out at fantasylife.com. Some of the other ones looked around, see what people are saying. Are you co-signing the Packers winning the Super Bowl this year? I kind of just want to start there, to be totally honest. Like what the Micah Parsons trade, we talked about it from obviously Dallas's perspective because we have you here. But with the Packers, I mean, I'm curious where they are now in just the odds and what this has done for them. Obviously, we've talked about Jordan Love. He has to stay healthy. The wide receiver room, they're hoping that they have a true wide receiver one now in Matthew Golden because of the Jaden Reed injury. A little bit nervous there. They don't have much, like a ton of depth. But what do you think this did for them?
Obviously, it helps them in a big way. That's what they were lacking. They really need a pass rusher. We've seen the impact Micah Parsons had on the Cowboys defense. So it definitely helps them. They become the favorite to win the division, which was a tough one too.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen, the odds move. They're around the sixth best right now. So I think they can. I wouldn't pick them. The passing game has got to get better though. I know last year Jordan Love was dealing with injuries, but they're going to have to get better there, and they really need Golden to make an impact. Jaden Reed dealing with a little bit of a foot injury. They expect him to play through it. So
I don't get that. I've actually I haven't drafted him in a while, but now I don't know. I don't want to
and he doesn't play in
to
two
it.
wide sets too.
Exactly. I don't
So,
want to overreact to it, but Jaden Reed, unless he falls to a specific round, I'm probably passing now.
yeah, and I do wish I had more Golden as well. I have a little bit, nothing lately. I've just missed out on him. I was planning to take him yesterday. He went one pick before me. And so it hasn't worked out. He's moved up though. In
He
competitive
has.
leagues, he's moved up. You're starting to see him go around 7.
Yeah, I've got a good amount of golden. I was way more nervous about it like a couple weeks ago, and now not that we want injuries, but Jaden Reed starting the season a little bit banged up is never good for him, and so I look at his draft capital and I say, you know what, they know what they want to do with Matthew Golden, and so we'll see if they're able to do it. But like you said, they have to stay healthy. Jordan Love as well. I was hoping that he would come back to me. It would have been a little bit early for me to grab that second quarterback in my draft last night with Dak Prescott, but would have liked to stack it up a little bit. But he didn't come back, so that's okay.
Yeah, it happens. Unfortunately, you miss out sometimes, but
Yeah.
yeah, that Packers are going to be that team everyone's on now.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. All right, let's go through more bold calls. Again, fantasylife.com. We've got all our articles 100% free. If you're drafting this weekend, make sure you download our rankings. We've got updated projections every single day as well. So I already asked you about the Packers. We won't go back there. I think that'll be the last time I reference them today. So we'll see. We'll see about that. Let me tell you this one. Jackson Smith and Jigba will lead the NFL in receptions and will finish as an overall wide receiver one.
I don't
Receptions is
see
tough.
that. Yeah, I don't see that. I look, there's not a lot of competition for target. I guess it depends on how you feel about Cooper Cup. I am not sure that he has much left. Could be wrong on that, but the team that knew him the best, that has aspirations of making a run in the playoffs, the Rams said, "Nope, we don't want you," and they felt that way last year because there was rumors that they were going to try and deal him at the trade deadline, and
Yep.
a lot of injuries as he gets older. So, look, he had 100 receptions last year, Smith and Jigba, on 137 targets. We know that this is going to be a team that likes to run the football a lot. This one, that one is tough for me to say it's going to happen.
All right, no cosign. I'm not saying this is mine. I've found these and we've
Okay.
written these up at fantasylife.com. So I'm also going to say I just and maybe, we've got players that we can talk about too that maybe we think we don't have enough of that could burn us at the end. I know we're going through players that make us nervous, and I believe it's more for me, it's not the player, it's Sam Darnold. For me, when I've looked at Jackson Smith and Jigba's price and everything like it, I don't have a ton of him. I did take him, earlier in the offseason, but it really cooled off once late mid-July came. And so that's one where I am a little bit nervous about not having a lot of shares of him. Just because we know. I mean, he really did. He had his breakout. I mean, weeks 8 to 18, 27% target share, 2.41 yards per route run, 17.7 points per game. And you have a ton of changes to the Seahawks offense too. We've talked about Clint Kubiak coming in, replacing Ryan Grubb. Thankfully, Sam Darnold coming in to replace Geno Smith, and then you've got a new receiver in Cooper Cup who replaces Metcalf. And I'm not nervous about Cooper Cup. I don't think people should say I don't want to draft JSN because Cooper Cup is there. I believe that. But yeah, where he's going, I just haven't gotten much of him.
Yeah, I haven't been able to either. I had it. Look, he had him last year. He was awesome.
hmm Yeah, that would have been nice. That was nice last year. But I'm nervous about it too. I will say that out loud. I am nervous about not having enough JSN shares, but we'll see what happens. That's the fun of fantasy football. Let me go back to your Cowboys then. The Cowboys will have two top 12 fantasy receivers. If we just talked about we just had a conversation where I passed up Pickens with CD Lamb, and there's not a lot of offenses where we can say that, where you say, hey, I'm comfortable getting both. But what do you think about this?
Yeah, you're gonna regret that pick. Uh,
Dang, I hate
I
that.
I think this is possible. And again, I'm not saying this because I'm a Cowboys
No,
fan.
no,
Anyone
no.
who has listened to
We
me
know.
knows that I'm reasonable. I'm not like, oh, they're gonna win the Super Bowl. This team's great. I was very down on the team last year. It turned out to be right. But I just think Pickens, this is the best spot he's ever been in. We know the talent is there. We haven't heard anything negative with Pickens,
No,
right?
no.
If you bring up the name George Pickens, you immediately think temper tantrum, losing his cool, and that certainly could happen. It could happen week 1, but everything has been positive. He's playing for a contract. He's that X receiver they were
Mhm.
missing, a deep threat. Lamb's going to get a lot of attention. And yeah, Lamb's definitely going to finish as a wide receiver 1. That's the obvious one. It's can Pickens do it? And Dak is going to have to throw 600, 650 times, maybe 700. So, because this defense is going to be really bad.
Yep.
It's without Parsons there, they got no pass rush, so it's going to give the other team time, and they're going to put up points, and Dallas is going to have to match them. So similar to the Bengals, right? That's what we talk about with the Bengals. The Cowboys are kind of that team right now, and we saw Higgins and Jamar Chase on a per points game basis finish both as top 12. So I think this can happen with Pickens.
And it's like you said, this is the best place for Pickens. I mean, when we look at Dak Prescott, he will be the best quarterback George Pickens has ever played with in his career. So in Prescott's last 2 healthy years, and I know people are rolling their eyes, they're like healthy years, yes, but he averaged 272 passing yards, 2.2 touchdowns per game. And so when you look at it, there is room for Lamb, obviously, as the number one, Pickens as the number two.
And
We've
here's the
got
other
him.
thing. So
Yeah.
people will say, well, Pickens is not the number one. Pickens is going to get more targets than he saw in any season with Pittsburgh. Here's the targets for Pickens in Pittsburgh: 84, 106, 103. Do you really not think he's getting more than 106 targets?
We
Come
have him
on.
projected for, I mean, and this is baseline. This is right in the middle, 114 to start the
Yeah,
year.
it's going to be higher than that.
We've got him for the best, which is like a little bit high, 135.
I think that's more
think-
reasonable.
You think it's going to be higher than
Yeah,
135?
they're gonna pass a lot. They have to. They have no choice. Not only with the defense, the running game. Like, does anyone think they're going to be able to run the ball effectively? I don't.
Yeah. See, okay, ceiling projections for CeeDee Lamb is 198 targets.
Yeah. Look, I'm just glad I took CeeDee Lamb at 3 in our GST league last
No
week
kidding.
because I was
Jeez.
like CeeDee or Gibbs, and I'm like, you know what? This is a
Take CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
That's what I did last night. Dak Prescott, we have him again projected right in the middle. This is not the best we have for projections, but right in the middle. This is also for 15 games. So we did an update. So you're going to see how many games that Dwayne and Matthew Friedman have them projected for. 15 games played, 548 pass attempts, and then 365 completions. If you want the X best, the best ceiling outcome, it's 728 pass attempts, 486 completions.
Yeah, look, 2 of the last 3 full seasons that Dak was healthy. 2021, he played 16 games, 596 pass attempts. 2023, 17 games, 590 pass attempts. He's hitting 600 this year. I can tell you that. If he stays healthy for 15 to 17 games.
Let me give you one more. You want one more bold call? Because you definitely co-signed that last one. You're like, yes, you passed on Pickens last night. It's gonna haunt you in your dreams. Probably will, to be totally honest. But let me give you one more here before we continue on. With Cam Ward as his new quarterback, Calvin Ridley catches 100 passes for the first time, ties his career best with 10 touchdowns.
Have you seen my drafts this year?
You're like, I'm hoping this comes true because
I
if
need
not,
this to come true. I have so much Calvin Ridley. It's sad.
it's not sad. It's a good
No,
pick.
so I need 100 catches though.
100 catches though is kind of the key in this one because he's never done that.
He had 90 as a career high in
Mhm.
2020 with Atlanta.
Yes.
100.
Say yes
though.
just to manifest it.
I think it's possible.
Okay.
I need it to happen. And where I have Ridley ranked, I need it to happen too. So 100's a lot though.
100
Hey,
is a
look,
lot.
but the key is if Cam Ward is that good, then yeah, it can happen.
I'm going to co-sign it.
Okay.
Why not?
I will
Why
too
not?
then.
Come on,
Yeah.
let's just do it.
He
Why
had
not?
10 touchdowns in his rookie year. He had 9 in his third year. He had 8 2 years ago with Jackson.
Yeah.
So the touchdowns,
I like the touchdowns more than the catches, than the 100.
probably, yeah.
100's a little bit high, but I do like the potential touchdowns there.
The targets will be there, though. 120
Oh,
last
100
year,
and-
136 the year before. So if we get around 140, yeah.
Ian and I have said this before to Dwayne McFarland. So Dwayne, if you're listening, because we have asked him to put the targets up already for Calvin Ridley. He hasn't projected for 121. Just to start. I think that could that not be closer to like 135, 140 in this offense? I just don't like Tyler Lockett's there. Yes. I do like Io Manor. I do like Alec Io Manor. I've taken him
As a late pick,
as
yeah.
a late pick. He's good, but what else?
Our boy Chig.
Oh yeah, Chiaconquo, Tony Pollard.
No, but bottom line is Ridley's going to get a massive because the offense pretty much is running through Pollard and Ridley.
Yep. Where did Pollard go in that draft last night? Let me see. I'm trying to recover.
He's a
and
guy
get
that has to
more.
move up.
He has to. If you're in drafts this weekend too, I mean, it's a high ankle sprain for Tajay Spears. Tajay Spears also fell last night to a point where I said,
Well,
you know what,
they
I
placed him
might.
on IR.
Did they? Did we talk
Yeah,
about that? Oh, we did talk about that. So he's
yeah,
missing the first 4
at
games. We know that.
least, yeah.
But I
Pollard
mean,
went
does he not fall to
6-1 in your draft.
where did Spears go? How far did because I remember
He has to
looking at
go
him fall.
far.
Yeah. But it got to a point where I said, you know what? Based on my bench already,
17th round.
yes, yes.
You
I should have
passed on
picked
him.
I
You
should have
took,
picked him up. I know.
well, you took
Who did I take? Though?
Chig.
Yeah, I needed another tight end. But he fell like that's far enough where it, you already have your starters in place and you should have a good bench at that point. So taking him in 17th round he could be your fourth running back.
That's their
on the bench.
4th. So there's a chance he gets cut by a team in the first or second week, though. So you
Yeah,
need to pay
pick him up.
attention to that because that could be a pickup. It all
Yeah.
depends on what happens with injuries the first couple weeks. But say if he's your 4th running back and your first 2 get banged up on the injury report, you might wind up cutting him. So
Mhm.
I'm not saying don't draft him there. Like I was eyeing him last night because we have IR spots. Now in IR spots,
Oh.
it's much easier to take him.
And you
Yeah.
didn't? Or did you?
No, I think he
Mm.
was taken 1 pick before me by the guy who used my rankings.
Perfect.
So
If he was
yeah,
there, you would have
in the
taken him. Though.
13th round. Yeah, because you just add him, put him on IR, and get someone off
Yeah,
waivers. I think
that
in
makes
a
it
format
easier.
like that, it's worth it. But yeah, the 17th round, I think is fine. Again, this is a 20-round draft. But just if you're the other teams, keep an eye. That player could be cut. And if they're cut after week 2 and there's a chance to be back week 5, put in a cheap bid and maybe put them on the bench.
Let's go through players who have made us nervous so far this offseason. And if we're nervous that we don't have enough of them, Adam, we've got good names on this list. Want to talk to you about Puka Nacua, maybe a little bit of Breece Hall. We've got them and more names here coming up next. Hope everyone is having a great start to their Fridays. It is a big weekend for drafts, and we are here to help you out. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam, Ronis with you right here, Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. I'll throw out the phone number so you all can be ready when we get to the water cooler, 888-963-2682, or you can press that new call-in button on the Sirius XM app. And of course, we've got the new code today. SXM30 gets you 30% off any tier of Fantasy Life Plus. This code is only good for 2 hours after the show. SXM30 gets you 30% off and it's going nowhere else. We're the only show here, Adam. We're not pushing it anywhere else. So make sure you guys know that you can use that SXM30 30% off. Players that we're nervous about. Either nervous to draft, Adam, or just nervous about their outlook for the 2025 season. I know Matthew Berry, if you guys haven't read it, go to NBCSports.com because he always puts together great articles. He's got his 10 lists of 10 for 2025 fantasy football season. And he did chicken players, players that he's just like, it makes me a little bit nervous to draft him. I will say, as we've gotten more news, Puka Nacua has been one where I took a good amount of him earlier during drafts because I was always in that 10, 11, 12 spot. And then now with it's more of a Matthew Stafford thing. We know that he's going to be good to go. Jordan Rodriguez came out and said that she believes that the back is going to be something that obviously bothers him the whole season. And so Puka Nacua is one I'm a little bit nervous about.
Yeah, I understand that. And we've seen him fall. I did take him in our GST league, but he fell to 210. Like I couldn't pass him up at that point. But look, when you put him amongst the other receivers that are all close there, I've been going with others, whether it's Drake London, Nico Collins, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I've been taking all those guys over him. If he falls to a certain point, though, I will take him.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, you would rather have Stafford play the entire year. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo is okay, but you're probably not going to get the same efficiency in the offense.
Saquon Barkley. Are you nervous about Saquon? Again, I've not been in a spot where I could I've not gotten the middle spot. I haven't been able to get a 6,
What
7.
do you? No.
Oh, 7, 8.
You had pick 4 last night. You could have taken.
I'm not going to take. No, not in that form. I'm not doing that.
Okay, but
I would have taken Jahmyr Gibbs ahead of him.
But you had the shot to take him, and you didn't.
Yeah, no, okay, you're right. In the middle rounds, how about that? Middle of round 1.
So I have
Jahmyr.
I have Barkley in one league. It was the Scott Fishbowl.
Oh my god!
where you get points for carries and everything.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, it does. Okay.
No.
So
But
that's the only.
are you nervous? Because here's my thing. I'm not nervous about him. I'm going to be totally honest. I've seen people say that he's going to get hurt. He had too many touches last season, and I get that. But coming off a year with 482 touches, I get it. You say he's going to lose, you lose goal line work to Jalen Hurts. I get that as well. But I don't know. Saquon Barkley feels like the guy that could be, could break that mold. I'm not nervous about him for that. I just have rather gotten Bijan Robinson, CeeDee Lamb, those kind of guys ahead of him.
It's just history. If you're looking at history, because most of the running backs since 2000 to have at least 400 touches, they do not do well the following the season. He's 28. He's played 16 games or more 3 times in his career. So he didn't take big hits. He had a lot of easy runs. He was banged up towards the end of the year a little bit. So I understand why people are passing on him. And it could be one we look back and go, wow, that was so dumb. Look how good this offense is, the offensive line. But I understand. It's people are just looking at history and they go, it happens most of the time. So they're playing the percentages.
Let me just say, if you're thinking that way, and I get it, I understand it. Make sure then you're drafting Will Shipley, because if you're talking like that and you're thinking that maybe Saquon Barkley just isn't going to be 100% for the whole NFL season, someone has to step up in his absence, and that's Will Shipley. He's been drafted most like all the time when we're in drafts. But if you're going into ones this weekend, he could be a good late round, handcuff guy to go out and get. I've got more names I want to go through here because we've got more players we're maybe a little bit nervous about. Let's see what our expectations are for them in fantasy this coming season. We're going to do that here coming up next. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us right here. We said before the show, Adam, you tweeted it out that we've got kind of a little surprise here. And it's just, to show our appreciation. It's a new promo code today only, SXM30. That gets you 30% off any tier of Fantasy Life Plus. So that code expires 2 hours after the show ends. But that makes it available for $27.99 for the year for tier 1, and then $69.99 for the year for tier 2, $5.83 per month. Adam, if you want to break it down like that, didn't do the math myself, but did write it down. So code SXM30 gets you 30% off. And again, that's just for you guys, our SXM listeners. So make sure you go and use that at checkout at fantasylife.com. What other players are you nervous about? Let me say all of them.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
My Emeka Egbuka shares. I don't think I'm as nervous on that one. You know who's gotten me more nervous though as the weeks have gone on and preseason got deeper is RJ Harvey.
Why?
I don't know. I just all the
J.K.
chatter
Dobbins talk?
about all the chatter about J.K. Dobbins. I've got a good amount of him, RJ Harvey. So I will just say it did get to me towards the end. I was like, really? We're gonna do this with J.K. Dobbins. It's gonna be a split the whole time, and he's never gonna be this breakout player. I don't know. I just thought that RJ Harvey was a Sean Payton pick.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. This same thing, I believe, if I remember correctly, happened in Alvin Kamara's rookie year, and he fell, and I took him. I think it was around 8 or 9. So I think Mark Ingram and even Adrian Peterson were there. So I'm not worried about it. I don't have enough RJ Harvey. I saw in your draft you went RB25 last night. That is crazy. No, I'm not as worried about him. I'd say everyone's worried about this guy, and rightfully so, is Breece Hall.
I know.
Like,
and I don't really
he
know.
is falling.
What are you doing with him, though? I've taken him.
I have not taken him. Now, if he falls to round 6, yeah, even maybe 5, because the problem is with round 5 for me is there's a lot of receivers I like in that round, and I usually do not go running back. That's where I'm getting a Micah Egbuka, So that's the issue there. If you fell to 6, because that's usually when I need an RB2, I take the discount. But it's just, we've heard this talk from Aaron Glenn months ago, and then it played out in the preseason. I have way more Braylon Allen. Someone in the chat last night said, you've taken Braylon Allen in 48 leagues.
It's like my Zach Charbonnet shares. I now officially have more.
That's a good, but Charbonnet is good to have. So do you think that we really are going to see them close the gap and you will see Walker and Charbonnet like maybe 60-40? Because we thought it was going to be all Kenneth Walker at first.
I do think it's going to be all Kenneth Walker at first. But my thing is that they want a fully healthy Kenneth Walker all season. I've heard that his injury is a little bit like worse than what has been said as well. Just a little bit. Not to freak people out, because I've still taken Kenneth Walker, but I'm gonna have more shares. I do have more shares right now of Zach Charbonnet than
The
Walker.
problem with Charbonnet, he's going higher. Like
You have to
you
pay a
have to
premium
reach
for
for it.
him.
Yeah.
He's not a handcuff anymore. He's a standalone player with standalone value. So that's the thing there. Wait, so Breece Hall, you're not drafting him.
He has to fall far.
Okay. All right. We're going to the water cooler. Hey, we're taking your phone calls too. We're going to get to as many as we can now and throughout the remainder of the show. So call in. Water cooler next. Yeah, that was Adam from earlier. I don't know if you knew, but that was Adam being very positive, at least about fantasy football and the Cowboys. I almost did a double take. We are in the water. What?
No, I'm saying, like I've
I
said this for a long
know.
time
I
now.
know.
At least I have fantasy and betting because I'm not going to see any championships from the Dallas Cowboys. I have the memories from the 90s. That's why America's Team documentary brought back a lot of good memories because now it's all garbage. Like I have nothing. So thank goodness for fantasy. It's going to be ugly next week. We're less than a week from the start of the season, Thursday night, Dallas and Philly. Just get me my fantasy points. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens,
There you go.
Ferguson,
Oh,
and then,
That's it.
hopefully they just have shootouts and I can make money off their offense because,
there we go.
yeah, look, again, the expectations are low.
Mhm.
So now I know like how like Jets fans feel going into every
Oh,
season.
brutal.
Yeah,
Brutal
it's
shot
not
at
fun.
Jets
It's not
fans.
fun.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
I
But
love the Jets fans. I have a lot, I live in the area.
you
I
do
have a
have
lot
a
of
lot of
friends who are
Jets
Jets fans. I feel bad for them. I want the Jets to do well.
Well, here we are in the water cooler. Going as you can tell, we've gone through some of the news that happened yesterday. Nothing big or crazy, but it was Micah Parsons going to the Green Bay Packers. But we're going through all the news and notes that you might have missed here in the last 24 hours. And of course, we're taking your phone calls. So want to throw out that phone number again if you've got the time right now, 888-963-2682. That's the phone number, or you can press that new call-in button on the Sirius XM app. You can also send us a message over there on X at KValenzuela17 at Adam Ronis. I see a couple of them already, so we appreciate those. I'll definitely try and get to them throughout the remainder of the show too. And then Adam, we are running a special just for Sirius XM listeners today. SXM 30 gets you 30% off any tier of Fantasy Life Plus. We've done 20 before, but we know how big of a draft weekend it is. So the big bosses said, hey, it's okay. Let's do SXM 30% off any tier. That's $27.99 for the year for tier 1. Or if you want tier 2, $69.99 for the year. So that code expires 2 hours after the show. So if you're looking into it, this is your sign to go ahead, go to fantasylife.com, take the leap because you will not regret it. We've got everything that you need to dominate drafts, and we've got everything that you need to make sure that you win in the season as well. So that is fantasylife.com, code SXM30 for 30% off. Ready to get into it, Adam? We don't need to do Cowboys again. We've talked through it. I think we're okay there. Let me say this. Another, just because we like to continue the updates, I know we talk about Chris Godwin a lot. It is important with that ankle injury coming back. Looks like the Buccaneers GM said that Godwin is likely to return in week 5 or later. So again, I saw a couple questions about him not starting the year on PUP, and I think the biggest takeaway, Adam, is that they want him to practice. If you have a player on PUP, they are not able to practice from what I have read. And so for Chris Godwin, they're hoping to ramp him up starting in week 2. So they're hoping that he's good to practice in week 2. You start to ramp him up, and then hopefully week 5 or later. We've talked about how it's a lot easier to draft. Well, he's not on IR, so you can't put him on an IR spot. But later in drafts, Chris Godwin, and when you have one flex spot, a lot easier to draft him. I don't have much of him at all. And if I do, it's from earlier in the season, more early July than anything else, because we know our Emeka Buka bags are heavy. They're heavy, Adam, but we're okay with it.
Yeah, this whole Godwin thing has been so strange because, again, in the offseason when they paid him and gave him the guaranteed money, I was like, oh, okay, that's a good sign. Then we got news about a month ago about the second procedure. In fact, I don't know if it was earlier in the day yesterday or the day before. They were like, yeah, Godwin can play anywhere from weeks 2 to 5. And what do I say about these optimism on injuries? It changed in less than 24 hours. Like, yeah, he's going to miss at least a month and possibly more.
They said week 5 or later.
Right. So what happens if he goes out on the practice field and says, yeah, I'm not feeling good. This is still bothering me. So that's why, like, Egbuka, I was all in anyway. I'll take him at round 5 right now because some people might say, well, okay, fine. He's going to start the season well, but what happens when Godwin comes back? how do we know how healthy Godwin's going to be? How do we know that Mike Evans is going to be healthy at that point? Igbuka has every opportunity right now. And if he goes out there and balls out like I think he will, he's not coming off the field. And even if Godwin comes back, he'll be out there likely in 3 wide sets anyway. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I just feel really good about Igbuka. It was fun getting him in the 7th, 8th round. Now you got to get them in the 5th or 6th. Again, it depends. I don't know how the home leagues are going to work because we talked about the ADPs. And again, use that ADP tool on Fantasy Life so you can go and see where he's going on all these different platforms. Because I got to think in home leagues he's going to go a little later. But I had that dilemma last night. And like I said, there's people in there that listen to the show. There's people in there that have my rankings. So I was like, do I pass on Igbuka here at 5'9" and wait till 6'4"? And I said, you know what? No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to risk. I knew there was one team that definitely wouldn't take him, but I was a little worried about the other two. I said, let me just get my guy as my, wide receiver 27 off the board. I think that's
Yeah.
a fair price. Like some people probably have room ranked lower, but I just feel really good about him going into the year. And this Godwin news I don't know. I don't feel great about him right now.
I think to me, when I saw the news about this, like maybe week 5 or later, I just think that when they drafted Emeka Egbuka, they made it very clear and obvious when they said that this was not about Chris Godwin. And I think it might have been about Chris Godwin, right? It's one of those things where they said this isn't directly concerning Chris Godwin. We want to make sure that he's able to ramp up at his own pace. We don't want to rush him back. But Mecca Egbuka, for what it's worth now, I mean, and Kate Otten, I mean, he's questionable for week 1. You've got a banged up offense right now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and so with Igbuka, that's why, I mean, you're right. There were already a lot of outs for him to play, like to do well during the season. We said that was a ramp up period. Now with Chris Godwin and this new injury news, again, Mike Evans is another year older. We never want injuries to happen to him. He's the 1,000-yard guy, but we wouldn't be shocked. And so they could go nuclear. They could utilize the 3 wide receiver sets as their base personnel. Chris Godwin could struggle when he gets back. Mike Evans, again, the age cliff comes pretty quickly and abruptly. So yeah, Igbuka, for what it's worth, I think even if you're in your home leagues, because I'm looking at some of the ADPs right now, and he's like pick 99 on ESPN, get him earlier.
Yeah,
I just
I
go
would do
get
the
him.
same
Just
thing. I
go
mean,
get him.
you might be able to get him in 6 or 7. Again, that's the tough part because he is getting a lot of hype. People are talking about him. So you don't want to play chicken. If you really like the guy, just go get him because, again, I think he's going to return that value. This is 2 days ago from Todd Bowles. This was his quote. Would say anywhere from week 2 to 5. The next day,
Week
GM
5 or later.
says, like, they don't know.
No. Bad vibes. That's what we have to look at here. So I don't. It's not good. I don't know. It's one of those things too with God or with Kate Otten too. If you have drafted him, we haven't talked about him much, but he's a bit banged up. So Emeka Egbuka to the moon. We've said that though. People
I
know.
need it to work out because if it doesn't, you're going to see a
Who are
sad
those
person
guys?
on this
Who
show.
are those guys for you besides the Cowboys players? Is it because for me it is Egbuka, and honestly, looking back, I've got for the past week, it's Matthew Golden for me. I would really like Matthew Golden to work out. If he doesn't, I can survive it. We can all survive some of these players that don't do well, but those two for receivers and Tet McMillan. Oh, I've got a lot of Tet McMillan. Those 3 are my big ones.
McMillan fell in mine. He went
You take him?
yeah, so I
Nice.
was 2 picks away. I would have taken him. I would have taken him over Kittle had he made it. He went 4-7 as the
Okay.
wide receiver 19. So I was a little surprised that he fell, but yeah, I wasn't sure because the guy in front of me has my ranking, so he might have taken him. I don't know.
No, he's tweeting
But
at us
I
right
know.
now. Shout out.
So yeah, for me,
Marty.
it's a lot of Calvin Ridley, a lot of Igbuka, a lot of Ricky Pearsall,
Oh, Ricky.
a
Yeah.
lot of Dak Prescott. I know this guy's later, but a lot of Braylon Allen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Is there
Ricky
anyone
isn't
else?
bad. Ricky doesn't feel, bad.
The first
But a
round,
lot of these
I
guys don't feel bad until they don't return
I
value.
haven't had Jamar Chase yet. I haven't had a one
Oh,
pick,
really?
so that sucks.
I've gotten one once and definitely took him.
Yeah,
I'm
I
okay
have
with it.
only Barkley in the fishbowl. You said that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. It
okay.
doesn't. Maybe
Uh,
should we do another, we should get into another league. I think that's the
It's
answer
probably going
here.
to happen. Yeah, it
Yeah,
might even
you
be.
let
I
me
might
know.
even get into 2 or 3 more.
You let
But
me know. This is what happens at the end of this at
did
the
you
end of
wind
the
up
year.
getting any McCaffrey?
Nope.
Yeah, neither did I.
No, and that one again, that could be one of our chicken players. I'm nervous about it. I'm curious to. I'll see this weekend if I draft him. I've got two on Monday, but those are ESPN, so it kind of depends on where he falls. But I've still got some opportunities
I
there.
would. I if he would have made it back to me in round 2 last night, I was going to
He
take him.
wasn't gonna do
Well,
that.
he
He
went.
wasn't gonna make
He
it
went 11th
back.
pick overall.
Yeah, why would he have made it back?
I'm
Oh,
just
what?
saying,
Wait,
in
what pick did
case
you have?
9.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah, I
he wasn't
passed
gonna
on
make
him.
it
I
back.
took Malik Neighbors.
I love Malik Neighbors. Yeah, it's hey, this is what happens. You have your guys. Yeah, Calvin Ridley, I think, is your biggest one.
He could be.
I
Yeah.
think so, if I
Yeah.
remember how much we've talked about him. But that's what happens. We put a claim on a guy, and if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, we come on here and we tell you it didn't work. But I feel like for some of them, Ricky Pearsall, Matthew Golden, especially Emeka Egbuka, those three, they have a huge opportunity right away. And I think months ago, if we were talking about them, that wasn't the case. Months ago, we would have said maybe it's a slow burn, especially for Egbuka, potentially with Golden, with Jauan Jennings there, and seeing how they were going to deploy those guys. But now they have an opportunity to step up. So it's going to be interesting. I will say too, I've said this before, but I wanted to make sure I said it again. I have been taking Jauan Jennings. That one might also burn me. And I'm okay with it. It hasn't been recent and often, but I have been kind of comfortable, especially I took him once in Vegas, I believe. And I was okay with it. But that's a risk I'm willing to take with the calf. Well, it's a calf injury. But if all of a sudden next week they get him a new contract, I have a feeling that calf is going to be okay.
Yeah. That's
That's the
definitely
only thing I look at.
that's one to keep an eye on. Because yeah, Jennings has a real opportunity when he is healthy on the field to get a lot of targets. They're very thin at wide receiver. So yeah, Jennings is one of the big storylines to watch for week 1. See if
For sure.
he's good to go.
And it's just your risk tolerance, right? We've talked about that. What you're willing to take a risk on, which players, and how you're going to build around them. And so for my circa drafts last week, I believe I took him in the women's series, but I made sure to have good receivers around him. If he is hurt and he's unable to play for however many games, I'm like, okay, I can survive that. But I don't know. For me, Jauan Jennings, the price that he goes at sometimes, he goes in the 120s on ESPN, especially. I'll say, okay, if it could really be a calf injury, but I don't know. In my mind, I think that if he gets a contract, he might be okay. And if that gets sorted next week, they need him.
Yeah, it's a guy that you're likely going to have to be patient with, and you just hope that you've done enough to fill the void until he comes back.
This weekend, are you getting any Najee Harris? You
Probably not.
going back? Okay,
No,
that's
probably
another
not.
one that we have to watch out for. There's actually quite a bit that we have to watch out for in the next week. Jauan Jennings for sure. Najee Harris, them saying that he's gonna looks like he could play week 1. Yeah, I don't know. I'm nervous. Who isn't?
Yeah, I'll believe it when I actually see him on the field.
Exactly. All right. Call in 888-963-2682. That's the phone number to call in. I also see some questions coming in over on X as well. We're going to get to as many as we can today. I saw a question from Todd about bumping up Kate Otten since all of these guys are hurt for Tampa. And I will say again, Kate Otten is injured. I think his status, he's uncertain. The last I saw for week 1, that was a couple days ago, from a Fox Sports report, but it's a hamstring injury that has been limiting Kate Otten during the second, third weeks of training camp, and I don't think he's 100% yet, Adam. So would not bump him up the rankings or say go get him.
Yeah, hamstring injuries can keep you out weak, so we need more information. So I would not be bumping up. I mean, he's missed the majority of training camp
Yeah,
too.
it hasn't been great. I got another one here from Will asking for our rankings on these 4 players: Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Genty, and Brian Thomas Jr. Says, I'm thinking these guys will be available at my pick in the draft after keepers. Thanks as always. Thank you, Will, for listening to us. So where would you rank Jefferson, ARSB, Genty, BTJ?
Jefferson, Thomas, Genty, St. Brown.
Yeah. I haven't, talking about players that I don't have a lot of, Genty. I don't have a lot of Genty. And
I
again, it just when we talk about these first round players, it's not because we're passing on them, right? It's just where you end up getting your first round pick. But I don't have a lot of him.
Yeah, I have him in some basketball. I thought about taking him last night, but
at 9.
Neighbors was there. I can't pass up Neighbors in that spot. I mean, all the targets he's going to get, upgrade in the quarterback room, whoever it is. Even if Dart comes in at some point, he's looked pretty good. They focus on getting him the ball. It's just I couldn't pass on Neighbors there.
No, no, I get that for sure. Let me make sure that we got through all the news here today. Again, phone number to call in 888-963-2682. And we're over there on X, on Twitter at KValenzuela17, at Adam Ronis. Are we worried about this Rams plan to better split touches between Kyron Williams and Blake Corum? We've heard this one before, Adam. This is a news piece that came out yesterday, and so there was a quote from their offensive coordinator saying that it benefits everyone to make sure that you're not just wearing someone down or overusing someone. The plan is to split those up a little bit and distribute, whether it's the run or the pass game. Do we believe this?
I am gonna say no.
Okay.
I mean, look, they should give Kyron less work. He had 86% of the snap share among running backs last year for them. So they did give him too much work for sure because he wasn't as efficient as the previous year. And that was one of my concerns going into last year was the injuries as well, because he's always been banged up. In fact, he had a couple of injuries during the offseason last year. And then they go out and they just give him all this volume. So I think they should, but they just
But
paid
will
him
they?
too.
Yeah,
Why
I
would
was
they
going to say,
pay?
but will they?
I think it'll go down a little bit, but not significantly.
Is Corum someone you're walking away? I've taken him, like when we talk about just pure handcuffs, when I've taken him, I've known that he's probably not going to give me anything unless Williams were to go down. We never want that to happen, but that's how we draft him. So I've only taken him maybe a handful of times for
Yeah,
him.
I really don't have much of Corum either. I mean, for a while too, it wasn't clear whether it was Corum or Jarquez Hunter. Now they're basically saying that Corum is the backup.
Yeah, so maybe move him up the rankings, at least for when we're talking about handcuff running backs. Continue to look at him. Darnell Mooney was back to practice on Thursday. That's good news for anyone that's looking at him. He's been sidelined by that shoulder injury, so hopefully he's going to come back sooner rather than later. And then Marvin Mims as well. He's got it. Marvin Mims has a groin injury right now, but Sean Payton did say that he's going to practice on Monday. He left Wednesday's practice with that groin injury, but they said the outlook is good for him, and he should be totally fine heading into week 1. That's another guy that's been kind of climbing a little bit up draft boards, later round
Yeah,
pick that can
ba-
pay off.
based on his preseason usage, everyone's looking at that now, where he was on the field with the starters pretty much the whole time, and it all comes down to is that going to continue in a regular season? I think that's something I'm looking at week 1. How many snaps does he play with the offense? Also, are they still continuing to devise up ways to get the ball in his hands? So we saw when he had the opportunity and he touched the ball last year was pretty good.
Yeah.
The last 5 games last year, he was wide receiver 17th in points per game in PPR format. So we're all like, oh, if he can just do that
Hey.
consistently. Still some questions. I've drafted him. I took him last night in my home league, so he'll be on the bench, and we'll see if
We'll see what
that
happens.
role grows.
Yeah, Troy Franklin too. That's an interesting set of receivers, to be totally honest. And Pat Bryant. I've
Yeah,
taken Pat Bryant, and he's the cheapest one I want to. Well, I guess it depends on where you draft when you look at between him and Troy Franklin, but the pecking order that we have right now projected is obviously Cortland Sutton, then Mims, then Franklin, then Bryant. But it is interesting after Sutton. Like that could really be a toss up for players when we look at them.
yeah. Evan Ingram is there too,
Yeah, Evan
so
Ingram.
like it's gonna be
I've
tough
I've
for.
cooled off on drafting him a bit, and it wasn't intentional. I just started to really like. That's how we go with the flow. I've started to like Warren Moore, Colston Loveland later, Tucker Kraft. So I just haven't been paying that price. I almost took him last night because they were falling. Those tight ends were falling in my draft, but ended up waiting for Kraft. But Evan Ingram, I mean, he's still projected for a ton of targets, 103 targets in that offense, 78 receptions, 700 yards for Evan Ingram.
Yeah, just not a big touchdown guy. Never has been. So you need those receptions to pay off in PPR. But yeah, I'm interested to see how the wide receiver core plays out. Obviously, Cortland Sutton is the one, and we saw in that preseason game, the last one where they played extensively, Nix was just kept throwing to Sutton.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to continue on here. That was the Fantasy Life water cooler. As always, go to fantasylife.com, sign up for that newsletter in your inbox for free 7 days a week, and use that code. That was our big surprise today. We've got a new code for you, and for you guys only, SXM30. SXM30 gets you 30% off any tier of Fantasy Life Plus. So if you want tier one, that comes out to $27.99 a year. If you want tier two, that comes down to $69.99 for the year. We not only have tools that are going to help you draft, we've got tools for you in season. The utilization report's amazing. The waiver wire, not only the article that I write, but we've got a waiver wire tool as well. So make sure you head over there, use that code SXM30, 30% off any Fantasy Life Plus tier one or tier two subscription. And that code expires 2 hours after the show. So get on it. We're going to go through the Mike's Hard Reach of the Week. Players that we've been reaching for in drafts over the last week. We're going to do that here coming up next. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us right here. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam, Ronis with you. We're going through the Mike's Hard Reach of the Week. Guys that we have been reaching for in drafts because we just can't stop drafting them, Adam. Essentially, that's how it goes because we know draft season's here and we don't want to play it safe. We have told you guys a ton of just our draft strategies, everything that we go into, but we know that ADP is a guide here. So we don't want to play it safe when it comes to drafting our players. Again, this is brought to you by Mike's Hard Lemonade. It's time to go hard for your league with this segment here, Adam, and we're going through players that we really like to reach for. Bold, risky, exactly how champions are made. Brought to you here by Mike's Hard Lemonade. Anyone you reached for last night, by the way? I can start there because I can go through my guys, but I'm curious for you.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about all the time, Mecca Egbuka,
Okay.
Ricky.
He should be like the reach of the year. I think that's what we should call him. He's the reach of the year, and that's all we have to say about him.
I'd say Ricky Pearsall too. I've been pushing up higher than EDP.
Okay.
And it's not just recently. Again, my early August drafts, I was taking him too. He's just set up for a really good opportunity, especially early in the year. I know Brandon Ayuk will return at some point, but I'm not even convinced that all of a sudden he's going to come back and become the one. He was not good last year. He's coming off an injury. So Pearsall has every opportunity to seize a big piece of the offense. They're very thin at wide receiver. Yeah, George Kittle, I do see him getting more targets. Maybe finally we can get him to 100, 110. That would be nice. But Pearsall's in a really good spot to start the season. Well, again, he was drafted late first round. They thought highly of him, and now he's forced into a big role. So I take him over receivers that sometimes people would be like, wow, that's a little bold there.
Yeah, I a couple of mine, not necessarily too much of a reach, but Mike Evans, I've continued, if I've said, hey, Emeka Egbuka, maybe I just want to make sure to get the other guy there. I think Mike Evans still. I know that we get worried a little bit about maybe a wide receiver age cliff because of his age, but we know the stat. Everyone knows the stat. He's the guy with 11 straight 1,000+ yard seasons, and the level of consistent production, it means that he's been effective on the field, and we kind of know that already. Some later ones I'll give you, again, a reach. I want to be careful when I say reach. It's more that I've said, hey, I just want to make sure to get some of these backups. And Dylan Sampson for the season might not be a backup, to be totally fair. We continue to get questions on Quinshon Judkins, and the answers that we have, Adam, are that we don't have any answers for Quinshon Judkins yet. He is still unsigned to a team, and he is just someone that I haven't drafted. I took him in that the flex league, I believe it was, and he was my second to last pick in that draft. And the news broke minutes before I made that pick, so I said, you know what, I'll take him here. But when it comes to questions about when we could see him, when he could be on the field, we still just don't have any clarity. So Dylan Sampson for me, Jerome Ford, we talked with Zach Jackson a couple weeks ago from The Athletic. He likes Jerome Ford as well, but for me, yeah, Sampson has been one that he's drawn comparisons to Rashad White. I think that's fine, but with the opportunity that he might have at the start of the season, I have been kind of reaching for him a little bit.
Yeah, Sampson is definitely a player that I want because another player that has an opportunity, and if he goes out there and performs well, he could stick in a big role. Yes, Jerome Ford is there for sure, the veteran, but they drafted two running backs, which would tell you that they are not enamored with Ford. So with Judkins, it looks like basically what is happening here is they are waiting for the potential suspension from the league
Mhm.
for violating the personal conduct policy. So it's under review. So it looks like they're waiting for that before finalizing a contract. So there's also reports that they're disagreeing on the guaranteed money as well. So yeah, there's a lot of
Okay.
murky situation here with Judkins, who, look, what's the best case scenario at this point? Say he signs a contract today or tomorrow. We're not going to see him for what, a month? He hasn't been practicing. He's a rookie. And again, that's best case scenario, right?
Yeah,
So
I think it's people say that once he gets out there that they just don't turn away from him. I think
is it?
essentially.
It's possible, but again, there could be a suspension. What has he been doing?
Mhm.
You could train all you want on the outside, way different than football conditioning. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is a. I've generally just not drafted him. He went 12th round in my league last night as RB 49.
And I'm still not taking him there, to be totally honest.
Yeah,
I
there
just am not
were.
doing it.
Yeah, there were. He's a tough guy to rank too.
Yeah, because I asked that we have projected games played from Dwayne McFarland and Matthew Friedman at fantasylife.com. And so they have him projected for 13 and a half. Now, whether you want to round that, usually we round it up, right? Or if you want to round it down. But, the rush attempts sitting at 178 with 768 and a half rushing yards. It's not, I don't know. It's not good enough for me. And it's just a weird situation. We've not seen a situation like this before. Or if we have, it's been a really long time.
Yeah,
So,
so
same,
that's why
same.
it's tough at this point because and look, I understand that we're playing a long season. I think sometimes we get too narrow on the first few weeks. We all
Mhm.
know the important weeks are middle of the season, late to the year, making that playoff run. And I think there's a lot of people who think they're good at this game and they expect to make the fantasy playoffs and they're looking at that. We still have to get there. So yeah, I mean, the second half of the season, Judkins could be really good if this
Yeah.
all works out. So I see it from that perspective too. It really depends also on what you have on your roster at that point, right? If you draft a Rice or Addison, it's tough to take on Judkins too, because now you have two guys that are going to do nothing for you to start the year. And as we say all the time, those injuries are going to come in week 1, week 2. Then all of a sudden you're like looking at your bench and you're like, oh, I have no one to
Hey,
play
whoops.
with bye weeks here. What am I going to do? So that's the challenge of it. Now you have bench, you have 9 bench spots. Look, a lot of people don't. I know we reference the high stakes leagues, but we know that's a small percentage of the audience. So a lot of people play in leagues with 16 roster spots. So it's tough to have a guy like Judkins and hold him the entire time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I just say it all comes down to roster construction. If you're willing to take the risk, sometimes risks pay off and you're rewarded for it. And it could very well be the same situation with Judkins this season, but with the lack of information that we have, he's not signed to a team. He's not signed yet to the Browns. That's the other part of it. So things could happen very quickly in the next week. I understand that, but it's just one where I've just said I'm not interested. Two guys that I have been interested in. Can we mention Jaden Higgins one more time here for the good people with the Houston Texans? Because we know Nico Collins is the alpha in Houston. And the number 2 job, when I look at Higgins, I still like Higgins. I like Jalen Knoll, to be totally honest with you. Christian Kirk is someone that we've mentioned on this show because if you need a veteran presence, especially I like how you put it, Adam. If you're drafting Jordan Addison and he's going to miss the first 3 games of the season, you want someone out there that you just know is going to at least have consistent volumes for the 3 weeks that he's gone. Christian Kirk is that guy. The other two, though, Jalen Knoll, Jaden Higgins, especially Higgins for me, though, if we believe that this Texans backfield for the running backs are as bad as they are, and we're thinking that CJ Stroud's really going to have to step up, and I think he is. And I believe that we're going to get somewhere in the middle. I don't think that we're going to get his rookie season. Maybe we get somewhere close, but I do think it's in the middle of what we saw in 2023 compared to 2024. So Jaden Higgins for me I think he's a strong target. If you need upside after waiting at the position for your roster, if you've got a veteran top heavy roster in the first early rounds, I really like him. You're going to have to be patient, but I like him.
That's what I was going to say. You're not going to be able to start him right away. It looks like Xavier Hutchinson might be ahead of him for now, but we all know how that can change with rookies. He was the 34th overall pick. He's physical. He's a deep ball guy. So you're going to have to be patient with him. And there will be people who draft him see he doesn't do much the first 2 weeks and cut him. You can't do that. If you're drafting him, you're making a statement to say, okay, I'm going to be patient with him. It might take some time to see his role grow.
Mhm.
So the other part of that is if you see someone in your league, draft him and cut him early, that might be an opportunity for you to pick him up and
Scoop 'em up.
put him on the bench.
Mhm.
But yeah, I did take him in my league last night, 14th round as the 65th receiver
I
off the
like it.
board.
Yeah.
I don't need him now. I don't need him now, basically. I did want Christian Kirk, and someone took him in round 11.
Is there a world where Christian Kirk is beat out by Jalen Noel towards the middle back half of the season, or would that take an injury in your opinion?
Probably will take an injury. Look, I mean, Kirk has been solid when he's on the field. Injuries have been a big factor, but they brought him in, especially if the offensive line could also take some time to gel. If that's the
Mhm.
case and they want to
Yeah.
get the ball out quick, that means a lot of Christian Kirk out of the slot, quick hitters.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Again, he's when you need a veteran who can serve as like I don't want to say placeholder because there is a chance that he's just solid and consistent the whole year, but especially like you said with Jordan Addison, if you're taking him, that's a good guy to go and get here. Let me give you one more, just because we got the update on Darnell Mooney. Not necessarily to say he's a reach for the week, but Darnell Mooney to you is he? When I look at him, what a wide receiver 5 with wide receiver 3 upside. If Michael Penix really steps up, we had a small sample of him last season, and we know that most of the time when we look at that sample of 3 games with Penix, we talk about Drake London with it. But Darnell Mooney was really a good fit in this offense. And again, he's coming back from a shoulder injury. They said he was practicing yesterday, I believe, if I remember correctly. But where do you have him? You like
Yeah,
him?
he's
No.
and
You can say
no,
no.
I did take him in one league, very late though. He fell probably this was early August due to the injury, so he kept falling and falling. I said, all right, I'll take him here and we'll see what happens. And there's optimism that he's ready for week 1. So yeah, we just didn't see a lot. I think we need to see the chemistry develop between him and Penix because we
Yeah,
saw
we didn't
Penix
get
just
it.
he looked at London all the time,
Yes.
which is great if you have Drake London. So, but I think that's something that you want to see. So I wouldn't be counting on him. He's more of a bench stash.
All right. All right. But I think with potential, bench stash with potential. If Michael Penix, if I didn't get Tua Tagovailoa last night, I was just going to say, you know what? Let's wait it out. Let's go for Penix. Why not? It could happen. Things could be
Yeah,
good, Adam.
he's drafted as usually see him the 20s
Yeah.
first 22nd quarterback off the board.
Yeah, exactly. So again, that was the Mike's Hard Reach of the week. Going through guys that we say maybe it's a little bold, maybe it's risky, but that's how championships are made. And again, this was presented to you by Mike's Hard Lemonade. Bold picks, bold flavors. We're going to have another one next week here. All right, we're going to go through our favorite running backs. We did this yesterday with our receivers. I want to go through our favorite early, mid-round, and late-round running back picks that we like for 2025. We're going to give you those names. Continue to answer some of your questions here coming up next. Best friends. And we're not talking about me and you, Adam. Producer Ani is here today. Brendan's doing a great job. We had to check on Ani. He wasn't giving you crap about the trade. We were worried.
Yeah, very quiet. So
BFFs
I
back
didn't even
together.
realize he was here. So
It's all
can
right.
I ask you a etiquette question, fantasy commissioner? This came up last night
Uh-oh,
in my
yeah.
league.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
you do commission any leagues?
Yeah.
Okay.
do.
So this was early in the draft. Someone said they actually texted me. They said, "Hey, can you change that pick? That's not who I wanted." So I paused the draft,
Mm.
replaced the player, and said in the chat, "Hey guys, Lamar Jackson's not with the pick. He's back on the board. Hit refresh." Guy 2 picks later took Jaden Daniels, and then saw Lamar Jackson go later in the round. He's like, "What happened, man? I wanted Lamar Jackson was there. I didn't know." I said, "Read the chat," and he complained like, "Nah, man, I didn't pay this money to not be prepared, this and that." And there were a couple other times during the draft where people were like, "Hey, can you change the pick?" And I always
Ooh.
pause it and change it. Look, in the high stakes league, they do it too. There's a contact admin button,
There is, yeah.
right?
We had
So,
one in the chat last night, if anything were to happen.
so would you do that if you're a commissioner? Would you change the like if you alert me immediately? You can't have it like 7 picks later because there was someone who got autoed in round 2. And at the end of round 2, they said, yeah, I didn't want Josh Allen, but I didn't think you would change it. I'm like, if you tell me immediately, yeah, I will change it. I get it. Things happen. But this is why you don't let the clock run out either. Like,
No,
these guys are letting the
exactly.
clock expire. Like, be ready. Have guys in the queue. That's the one thing I will say. Mistakes are going to happen. I think I had to change 3 or 4 picks last night.
Ooh,
I'll do it.
you're nicer than me.
You wouldn't change it at all?
So I have the rule where if it because it happens, right? I've done it before where you have your queue set up and you just press the wrong player.
Okay.
If it's a pick to me, what I like to do is and they know. So if it's a pick and you pick, without the clock running down, I'll change your pick. If it's an auto, you get that player. I don't
Oh,
care.
wow. That's your
If
rule?
you Yeah, if you're gonna wait that
Okay.
long, I mean, in one league we got
Damn,
we got
man.
a
For
minute
once, you're
30.
more harsh than me. This
What are you
never
talking
happens.
about? A minute 30 and you can't figure it out? No, like it's
No, the
and
clock
yes,
was a
things
minute, or it might have been
No, that's what I'm
55
saying.
seconds.
Mine's a minute 30. You're telling
Oh,
me in a
okay.
minute 30
That's
you can't
different.
figure it out. To me, I get it. Things do happen. Sometimes like and especially
You could lose internet.
Oh, if you lose internet, text me. I'm not that
Right.
cutthroat, right? If things are happening and you lose internet or your computer shuts down, whatever, I'll pause it. But if you're just milking the clock and then you make the wrong pick and you don't like it or you're autoed, sorry.
Okay. Well, I don't
Yeah,
know.
wow, what has
People.
happened to us? What
Yeah.
are we doing?
Like, again, if you tell me right away, whether it's in the chat or you text me, like, hey, I didn't want that. And that's what they did. It happened like right away. So I said, all right, I paused it, changed the pick, and let everyone know in the chat, hit refresh. Because, if you don't hit refresh,
Yeah.
the player's not there. So I try, anyone who's been in my leagues will say that I'm a fair commissioner. You've been now second year,
I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
whatever. Like, as far, collecting money,
No,
making
for
sure the
sure, you
date's set
are.
up. But
You
look, it
communicate.
happens. Like, we've all had our internet go down, right? So
Yes, if it's internet or anything like that, or again, if you just picked a player and you're like, dang, I used whatever, like my finger touched the wrong player, it wasn't the right one, my queue is set up, and I definitely wanted this guy at the top of my queue. I've done that before too. But to me, if you get autoed, like if you're not around, that makes me, I'm just like,
no,
what
I
are
mean,
we
look,
doing?
you're not getting it. You have to be around. If you text or notify the commissioner immediately, that means you were there. Something happened. Maybe you did let the clock run too far. You were trying to think. But if you notify me immediately, and I think this should go for all leagues commissioners if you're doing an online draft, as long as it's done immediately. You can't tell me 5 picks later because those
Yeah,
players are off
that
the
would be
board. You
annoying.
have no chance at those players. So it's got to be right away.
If you have a minute clock, I can see it. When
Yeah, we
you're
had a minute clock.
1:30, 2 minutes, get it, stop.
It was 24
Come on.
rounds. I can't do a minute and a half. We would be there
Oh
like
my
for
gosh,
4
you
hours.
would be there forever.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, wow, look at you. A little bit nicer than me. Who would have
That's
thought?
the first time during the
Drinking
show.
Folgers today too? What's going on? What are we doing? I get it. Things happen. And that's what happens with commissioners. Tell them before the draft though. That's the thing. Like, don't let people assume that, and that goes for, I make sure to do it. And I know a lot of my commissioners do the same thing. Tell them what the plan is. Even if you've been in this league for 10 years, remind them, hey, if you auto and you don't like it, and that's your, that's in your rules or whatever, hey, text me and I'll change it. If you need a pick change, let me know. But just tell them before the draft. So then you don't have someone saying, I didn't know we could do that. Two rounds later.
Yeah,
That's the
look, I always say it would suck if it happened to you, like people complaining like, "Oh,
For sure.
why'd you change it?" I mean, you could be in that same situation the next day in a draft and you want to get the pick that you actually want. So, we all know mistakes happen. And again, they do it in these high stakes leagues. There's a contact admin button. They even sometimes will put a phone number in the chat. Hey, if you have any issues during the draft, contact us. So, yeah, I just want to make it fair for everyone.
I wear my crappy picks. I just wear them like a badge of honor, and I say, "Dang." I'm kidding. I'm kidding. What's going on? I don't really know what to do here. You're just so nice. You didn't freak out about the Micah Parsons trade. You're changing picks. I don't know.
Again, I'm just
This
trying to
Adam
be
Ronis
fair.
is different. No,
Just trying to be. I think as a commissioner, your goal is to be fair.
It
for,
is.
for the league.
Especially with how much, for any league, if it's free, if it's not, but you want to have a good time. But if it's money that you're paying, you want to make sure you get the guys that you want. So I would agree with you to a certain point on that one. We're going to keep going here. I see some questions over there on X, again, at Valenzuela17, at Adam Ronis. Continuing on through some of our favorite running backs that we like this season, early, mid-round, late-round picks. We're giving you those names coming up next. Fantasy Life right here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio on this Friday. You have made it drafting season, one of the biggest draft weekends I think of the year, Adam. And then you get into Monday. I know people have drafts next week. So of course we're going to continue breaking things down. Want to remind people too, we've got that code SXM30, gets you 30% off any tier of Fantasy Life Plus today and today only. And this is just for you guys because we know it's a big draft weekend. We want you guys to succeed. So use that code SXM30, 30% off. If you've been waiting, if you've been thinking, I don't want to take the leap yet, now's your time to do it. $27.99 for the year for tier 1 or $69.99 for the year for tier 2. The code expires 2 hours after the show, Adam. So we got to tell the good people, use it now. SXM30, 30% off any Fantasy Life Plus tier 1 or tier 2 subscription. Your favorite running backs. Besides, we've talked a lot about him, but going through him, I'll say one that I'm curious if I don't think he's your favorite in any shape or form, but I don't have a lot of Jonathan Taylor this year. I'm curious what your expectations are for him, because we know that it's Daniel Jones back there. We know Jonathan Taylor is a good running back. It would be different if he was maybe on any other team, but I've been below consensus a little bit on Taylor.
I like him. I don't really have a lot of them. It's just because of where he goes that I'm usually not on the board to take him, and he goes earlier, or I'm taking a receiver. But I see the optimism for him. He had some injuries last year, but look at that finish to the season. I mean, he was phenomenal. You like the fact that Daniel Jones won't steal as many touchdowns from him at the goal line compared to Anthony Richardson. He also could catch more passes with Daniel Jones at quarterback. I know last year he only had 18 receptions, but yeah, I'm fine. I would take him. Okay. I would take him late second if I needed a running back.
I've only taken him once, and I didn't hate it, but it was definitely one where I would rather go. Some of my other guys, Omari and Hampton, still really like Hampton. I think you and I are on the same page with Chase Brown, Bucky Irving, those two, and then the Travion Henderson bags are heavy this year. That's one way. And RJ Harvey for me. That's a lot of rookies. I took 2 of them in one draft over the weekend in Circa, but I felt okay with it. We like those guys.
Yeah, I believe you started 3 receivers. So if you're going to do that, you get those 2 running backs. That works out. I like Tony Pollard a lot. Obviously, he should be moving up. I don't think he has moved up a lot from what I've seen. He went in your draft last night at 6-1. Love that price because you can start 4 receivers or 3 receivers, a tight end, 1 running back, and get him as your second running back. Really, really like that.
Yeah. DeAndre Swift, where are you at with him? Is he? So I definitely have a good amount of Swift because I look around and I say, well, Roschon Johnson is there. I do like a late round Kyle Monangai pick if you're looking for a late round guy that has potential to step up in this offense. But for what it's worth, I thought the Bears would do a lot more in that backfield than they did. And it feels like it's just DeAndre Swift's world, and maybe we're just living in it right now. I don't know.
It feels kind of quiet with Swift, but I do like him where he goes. Round 6 is where I've seen him go as my RB2. I don't really have a lot, not because I don't want him. It just hasn't worked out where he lands on my team. So I might have on 1 or 2 teams, but he is absolutely someone I am eyeing. Again, if you go with a receiver-heavy build with 1 running back early, I have no problem and really welcome the chance to take Swift in round 6. I think he could really, if this Bears offense goes off like we envision with Ben Johnson there, Swift's going to play a big role.
Jordan Mason, probably one of my most drafted running backs this season. It's been from May to now. It's just been May, June. You say, okay, let's get in on Jordan Mason here. And I really like him. He's just if you've listened to us, you know why. 1-2 punch over there, but I just think he takes over the backfield eventually. So he's one of my biggest ones, and same with Zach Charbonnet. 2 guys that people might call them handcuffs. I don't at this point look at them as handcuffs. Maybe Charbonnet to that point. We just don't really know how they're going to deploy both those guys to start the season. But to me, those 2 have standalone value that you can't pass up on.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker with this foot injury, the history of injuries. Look, I think he could go off in this offense. I like him a lot, but if he can't stay healthy, I mean, we could see a lot of Charbonnet. The problem is it's really difficult to get both. The price has just gone up on Charbonnet. Agree on Mason, have a lot of them. he's going to play a major factor in that backfield. I mean, Kevin O'Connell already said it. 1A, 1B with Aaron Jones. Jones coming off that massive workload. So, yeah, a lot of Jordan Mason, too. And a lot of people were upset when Mason was selected in the draft room last night. My friend thought, I told him, I said,
was
look,
mad.
I was like, even if he wasn't taking at the turn, he wasn't making it back to you. I was taking him.
We've got the best listeners, you guys. Good luck this weekend. We want to hear about it. Send us your drafts at Valenzuela17, at Adam Ronis. Use that code SXM30. Only today, SXM30 gets you 30% off. Good luck. Have a safe weekend. We'll see you here on Monday.